Welcome back to another episode of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Y'all, it's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Giovanni, and I help those with endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome reduce chronic pain, eliminate that distress, and minimize irregular or heavy periods. Today, in the Good Vibes studio, we got the Earth Angel herself, Miss Jasmine. Y'all, I'm so excited about this conversation and the vibes that's going to flow, but before we get into this episode, with me, y'all. Welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast.
Hey.
Y'all, welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Today, we are honored to have Jasmine Alise with us, mother, partner, doula, and intuitive healer who has turned her pain into power, y'all. Jasmine's journey from experiencing severe trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety to becoming an advocate for holistic living and self-mastery is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Y'all, today she's going to share her insights on why you are not your pain. You are not your pain, and how to embrace holistic living and the importance of self-mastery in the healing process. Y'all, let's get ready to welcome Jasmine Alise to the Good Vibes studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Jasmine, how you vibing today?
I am vibing real good. I'm at a high. I had our first Sitting with Spirit listening party this weekend. So I'm still coming off that wave of the transformation and everything that took place within myself and the community. So I'm feeling real good and excited to be here with you and having this conversation. I feel like it's in perfect timing, honestly.
I love it. Tell me a little bit more about the listening party.
So the listening party is really something that I created. And I don't say that I created. Actually, I call myself the guided force. Somebody read my website and was like, "Did you mean guided force?" And I said, "Yeah, guided force," because it's coming through me. It's something much bigger than me, something that I'm doing in obedience to the Most High. And it's a space where you can come have that real, raw dialogue, but that release and that expression that's necessary to heal and change our frequency and our vibe. So I just it's spoken word, it's meditation, it's breath work. I call it a soul journey, really. And this one was all about accepting the journey. So we went through the phases of life from womb to present day, and we're able to tap into those different areas and parts of ourselves and call back the power from each stage of life. And it was just amazing. I don't know that everybody knew what they were getting into, but it was amazing to see the group of women come together, and women that look like us come together, and the space was filled. Like, we couldn't have taken one more person in, for real. So we all came together. We were vulnerable. We held each other, and it was beautiful. So
I like it. I like it. And so one thing that came to mind was, what would be one word to describe the experience for you putting on your first, guiding your first listening party?
I would say heart opening. It really was heart opening for me. I feel like I have tapped back into my inner child. And although I was facilitating the meditations, and so afterwards is really when my work began, taking them on that journey and being present with that energy. For me, it really did open me back up to, like, I feel like a kid again. I feel wondrous. I feel like joyful and excited to explore again. So I have the courage to do that more confidently now. So that's what I got just from being in that space and witnessing, the transformation. And I say all the time, it was me putting myself, like, pushing myself to the limits as well. So, like, even to show up in these spaces, to create these spaces, I've had to do deep work on myself. So it was also like a big you did it, girl, because I've been working towards this vision, although it hasn't always been called Sitting with Spirit. I've been working towards this vision for so long, and it's finally clear and it's finally here. And I'm just like so grateful.
How long do you think this vision has been like deep within inside of you, just ready to be able to bloom and blossom like it did this weekend for you? How long do you think it
Ooh,
took?
I really feel like it's been my whole life story getting to this point. Ever since I was a kid, like I was always interested in learning myself, and maybe I wasn't always interested in changing or receiving the help, but I was always interested in learning why am I this way, and being in therapy and all of these things. And since my trauma really did start from the womb, I truly have experienced like so much darkness in my early life. So I was just tired, and I feel like the journey works best when you're tired. And
Mm.
God really has always been whispering in my ear. Like I just always had this knowing that the story that I was living in that time, even when it was painful, even when I felt like the victim, there was always that whisper that this story is bigger than you. And there's people that will need this. And so you're not living this just for you. And so I just always have searched for that light, no matter, how deep the darkness was.
I like it. And I think you have been. I know we talked before about like everything that you kind of went through, or some of the things. We won't even say everything because I mean life is in depth. And I was just curious because I know, like what you just told everyone, that this is something you've always wanted to do. You always wanted to learn yourself. You always wanted to better understand who you were, what life was really supposed to be like for you. And we're gonna kind of dive in this, but I'm vibing on this whole like listening party experience right now. So I love that it was heart opening for you. What do you think would be the one word to describe the participants' experience with you guiding or facilitating
Mm.
this listening party?
Oh, one word.
This one.
I hope it was safety,
That's a good
safety,
word, Jazz.
or wholeness. Those are the two
I
that came
like
to my
safety
mind.
first
Yes,
because so many
that's what
times
came
people
first.
don't find a safe space and they don't realize that the safe space has to first start in them. And so
Mhm.
sometimes it's them getting comfortable in an external safe space that they start realizing that they can be safe within themselves. And so I love that you provided that safe space for them. You allowed them to be vulnerable. They showed up for themselves, and showing
Mhm.
up for themselves made it evident to you that what you're doing, showing up for you and learning you, is being able to be like a force in this whole like
Yeah.
record, like a guided force, I should say,
Mhm.
into this whole like journey for yourself. And so I love that they felt safe with you. And that's nothing to take lightly, Jasmine, because you had to first find safety within you too. And that took a while, but you never stopped. And your determination and your resilience has been key. And I love that about you. And I love that you're putting that out there for other people to see, because you are representation for people coming from the foster care system, having childhood traumas. Like everybody's story is uniquely theirs. But when you show up in open spaces and you own them, and then you say you are not your pain, that's a whole different vibe, Jazz. That's a whole
Yes.
different vibe. So I'm proud of you for that. And
Thank you
I
so
really
much.
want to I hope you tell me when the next one is, because I would love to experience this safe space amongst others, and really finding that deep within you, that
Yes.
vulnerability and that moment to just breathe and just do the exercises, because I know you have different healing modalities that you've experienced, and then you've created opportunities for yourself to get skill sets in. But let's kind of start with the whole you being able to endure significant trauma. And you talked about you feel like you've experienced trauma ever since the womb, but now you're an intuitive healer, advocate. Um, what can you share about your own personal healing journey, about like when you realize that you are not defined by your own pain?
Mm. I would say um, something in my own healing journey that made me realize I'm not defined by my pain is I feel like I always had this need, even when it wasn't like safe to tell my story. I've always made way to be an advocate for other people's stories. And that was kind of my safe space in the moment. And even for the listening party, I was realizing as I was reflecting that it was really hard for me to find balance between sharing my story and holding space for others' stories. So I was sitting with that hesitation. And although everything happened at the listening party as it was meant to, I feel like when I don't even know, maybe I was 20. I'm 28 now. And I think, I had moved out junior year of high school to live with a man, but I moved out junior year because I really wanted to escape the house I was living in. And find that freedom and almost autonomy over my body, because this is the only way I was going to be able to not take the medication, which we'll probably get into that later. But after leaving there, I was still experiencing trauma and just in another way. And it just felt like it was always recurring. And I was always in a new trauma, healing from the old trauma. So when I finally escaped that, um, and made it through a couple years of college, I had a job, you know what I'm saying? I had a car. I always had these things, and I felt like this is what you need to be an adult to survive. And one day I was like, okay, I'm coming home. I'm going to work. I'm going to sleep after I come home. And I'm sleeping until I go to work. So one day I literally woke up, or something loudly whispered in my ear and was like, yo, you're not living. You're not living. You are so grateful to be alive. Your nervous system was so grateful to just not be in threat anymore, that you became comfortable with just breathing, just existing. And there's so much more to life. So that was the moment that I woke up and was like, okay, sis, it's time to live. You have purpose and you need to find it. And I've always shared my story, even when it wasn't balanced or whatever. I've always found ways to share my story. My lady doing my hair, whoever. And the people around me never were too fond of it. But I've always told my story. So I started a Facebook page that was offering free guidance for individuals with mental health disorders and conditions and things. So it started with that. I was just posting videos, educating people, just literally wanting to be a space where people felt seen, and not even really educating people, but it was coming from more of a like real raw space. Like, I've also lived this, and that's something I really preach what I practiced, because the things that I'm talking about are things that have shown to be true in my life. And so it's really in my heart, like what I'm talking about. So I think I went past the question, but
No, you're okay. What came to mind though, Jazz, that stood out to me was when you talked about that whisper in your ear that said, you're just living. Your nervous system has been surviving all this time, but you're just living now. Get up. Let's go really thrive in this thing called life. Can you say something to the people that might be listening to this episode? Kind of talk to the young Jasmine at the time that had that whisper, but talk from the Jasmine that's here today, who just hosted that listening party, who had a transformative experience for other people, provided that safe space, and is intentional with her healing and being that earth angel. Whisper to those that are listening to this right now that aren't truly living, but they deserve the opportunity to live and be vibrant, not be their pain, and shift their mindset.
Ooh, that just gave me chills. If I were to speak to that Jasmine who got the whisper, I would say, first of all, I'd say you did it. You're here and you survived it all. But you have to accept it. You have to first accept it so that we can take our power back, and so that we can turn this pain into something beautiful, not just for yourself, but for the world. I would tell I'm sorry. I think my laptop is gonna die. I thought it charged it, but I think my daughter might have unplugged it.
No, you're okay.
Oh my gosh, that was in flow too. I just don't want it to die. While we in flow. Is this live?
Yeah, you already paused it?
Oh, can you?
Yes. And so the Jasmine here today is whispering to the Jasmines that might be listening right now that you first need to surrender, then accept what you went through, accept all the different obstacles, challenges, accept life experiences thus far, accept them. Take your power back. Take your power back, not just for you, but take it back for the world, your world, the world around you. And then,
Yes, and everything you have been through, everything you are going through is directly connected to who you're meant to be for the world. So if you can tap into that and if you can get through that pain, allow it to come through and out of you, then you'll be able to find that power and to transmute it into love and into power. You know what I'm saying? And it's a ripple effect beyond you, past you. So it's bigger than you. Your healing is bigger than you. And you heal the bloodline before you and the bloodline that comes after you when you choose to do the work. And you don't got to, but somebody will have to.
agree, agree.
Right.
But I feel like it's such a better version of yourself when you are intentional with your healing. But first, when you own what it is that you've been through. I think so many people are, if they're not ashamed, they just rather not confront the things that just really have been the most absolute traumatizing experiences in their life. And if that is not being addressed and it's just being neglected and suppressed, that is going to do wonders inside of your body, on your body, and then as well as in your life. And you're going to always be stunned that opportunity to truly flow because you're having blockages because you won't allow things to be fully processed to be able to release and go. Like grieving it, grieving the old you, grieving the past, that's always a process. Like grief is never ending. But surrendering to it, being more aware, and then figuring out how it connects, or you need to disconnect from the story or the version inside of your head that you own of it. If it is that victim mindset, then you can't do anything about it. But if you're translating that into power, and you're saying now I'm going to not only empower myself, but hopefully what I'm going through is going to empower other people because I can show up and help them. I can reach them. I can connect to them in a way that is real and raw because I have that experience. And it's not trying to create a experience. This is the experience I've already owned. And this is just where I am in life. And so I think that was beautiful, what you just did to whisper to yourself and to the other Jasmines that are out there that need to be shifted into this alignment of living and true living and what living looks like for them and not just being alive. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a big thing. But Jasmine, give some mindset tips because you clearly had to have a mindset shift leaving your junior year of high school, knowing that you just got to do some things for yourself and start owning and taking control of your life. But then you also talked about going to college. You didn't just go move out and then just start hustling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or maybe you did. I don't know. But talk about that mindset, how important it is for you to create a mindset to surrender, to empower yourself, to go out there and be intentional about your healing journey.
Yeah. So the mindset, I would say, is a practice too. It's also a practice. And it's a slow shift. Like I always say with everything, 1% better a day. If you can do 1% better a day than you 365 by the end of the year, I could do that turnaround. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds like a lot, or it feels like a big shift that needs to take place right now. But it's really the small moments. And I think people advocate for meditating and breath work and all of those things, or yoga, where most people think that's something where you have to sit down and do. So, and in the beginning, maybe it is. But I think what's important is that you take that feeling of that meditation, the awareness of that meditation, and bring it into your real life, because the real change starts when you're triggered And you can be like, oh, that's a trigger. Okay, let me choose not to respond from this space. And you may not always catch it before you respond. But being able to be like, oh, or for me, myself, I get the typing and my ego pop up in there and I'm like, oh, I can't post this. But then I'm gonna let myself finish saying it because it's real and it exists inside of me. So we're not rejecting. That's I guess my mindset tip number 2. We're not rejecting our old selves and we're not shaming them. We're accepting them with love and understanding that every part of us, every stage of us did exactly what they could with what they had. And also, it happened exactly as it was meant to. I was just reflecting today on the support system that I'm growing and that I have. And I was like, if I would have got this support system any sooner, I wouldn't have the testimony or the drive that I have right now. So it's all coming in perfect timing. So also give yourself time. Everything takes time. Healing takes time. Success takes time. Progress takes time. So you have to give yourself time. And remember, last tip, I guess. Last tip. People are like, oftentimes, well, I've been saying my affirmations. I've been doing all the things. I've been meditating. Why isn't my life changing? And there's a difference. Affirmations, just like everything else, is a practice. There's a difference between saying an affirmation and believing in affirmation. And the work is believing it, working to believe it. So when you say that affirmation, it will call up everything inside of you that contradicts that reality. And the work is in dissolving and doing the work to release and transform that energy that comes up that you become aware of. So the gift in an affirmation is the awareness of what's contradicting it inside of you. So don't stop with the affirmations and make sure you're doing that. I know the spiritual community say shadow work, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you're doing it because you have to accept all of yourself, even the parts that you try to hide, even the parts that others try to hide, or that you hid because others didn't have the capacity for. Those are my tips right now, y'all. I could give you a whole sermon though, but I hope those were helpful.
I think so too. They helped me out. I absolutely love that you brought up affirmations and you talked about affirmations aren't just things that you say. Affirmations are work too. Works to believe. Work to believe that the affirmation is true for you. And when it doesn't seem like it is true for you, putting in the work to discredit the thoughts, the feelings, and belief that go against the affirmation that you're believing for yourself or that you hope to see in for yourself or you're manifesting for yourself in due time. And so I love the emphasis on the work that goes behind an affirmation. Is not just saying the affirmation. And so I absolutely love that aspect. The 1% better hit, because that's what I told myself going into the work this school year. What I told my teachers at school, just get 1% better every single day. That's the goal. There's all these different things you could be doing, all these ways that you could progress and really implement. But if you're just focused on getting 1% better, you appreciate yourself for doing the thing that you did do right and do because you showed up with intention and with love and with purpose with that 1% that you kind of got into. And so I love that you said that. I was like, come through. And I also like that you said mindset is a practice. It's not just a state of being. It's a state of making sure you're aware of the being in that being. And so that was good too. I was like, come on through with the mindset practice. And that's a key component of my healing journey, has been mindset, my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs. And I love that you talked about focus more on the accepting and not the rejecting. And so when you are accepting good, bad, ugly, the behaviors that work for you, the behaviors that you're noticing aren't working for you, you're still in a way of getting that 1% better. You're still practicing how to become a better you, a better version of you, a more vibrant you. And so I enjoyed that aspect too. So that was good. I thought the tips were absolutely amazing. But if you're getting any value from this, y'all, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to Four Vibrations, click that like button, and then make sure anything that stands out to you that we're talking about today, put it in the comments so we'll know what people are enjoying and what they're liking and what is showing up from our life, our journey, our insights that are resonating with you. And if you're listening on your podcast distribution platform of your absolute favorite, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you're following the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Give us a rating. And if you're on Spotify, I heard you can comment too. So make sure y'all stay tuned and keep on vibing with us. Jasmine, there was something you said earlier, but I really want you to talk about this whole purpose of self-mastery, because you're all about self-mastery as a part of your healing journey. What does self-mastery mean to you? And then how can listeners begin to start cultivating it in their own personal healing journey?
To me, self-mastery is really about, once again, taking your power back. Because when I was on my journey and after I realized that my life was becoming a reflection of my suffering, I had to look at possible changes. You know, you have to be real with yourself in the beginning. Well, all of it. You have to be real with yourself through it all. And that's why I always say one of the first steps, although it's one of the hardest steps, one of the first steps in the journey is acceptance and being like, okay, I have to take responsibility for it all. Like, it doesn't mean it was okay, but I have to take responsibility and take my power back, because otherwise we're always caught. So many are caught in the cycle of waiting for the ones who hurt them to come back and fix it. And I realized wasn't nobody coming. so I was like, dang, I don't like this feeling. Like, that's really one of the things that drove me, was I really don't like how I'm feeling. Day to day, I don't like how I feel. And I am a person that, when I started accumulating these tools and these principles, I'm like, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense. And one thing with my faith was, although I went like a more scientific route to help anchor my faith in, because as a kid, I was always getting the scientific answers to life because my mom is a science lady. So I just always, thrived off of having that in-depth understanding of stuff. So before I keep going, can you remind me of the question? Because
you told me what self-mastery meant to you, and then how what self-mastery meant to you, and then how you can do more to it. And you pretty much told me it's taking your power back. And what I liked about what you were vibing with just now was the fact that you said it didn't have to be good, but you still accept it. You're responsible for how you plan to process it and then move on. And I like that aspect of it. Like, to me, that sounds like self-mastery. Whether it was good or bad, you liked it or you didn't like it, no matter how it made you feel, own it so you can find a way to move forward with it. And to me, I love that definition of self-mastery. And so I think that definition also goes with how people can start intentionally being a part of owning it. So I'm gonna say this. In the description of this video is an 8-week journal. Take 8 weeks to be with yourself and start realizing the thoughts, the feelings, the belief that arise. Start looking at your behaviors in regards to what you're eating, how you love yourself, the things you say to yourself, how you feel. There's affirmations on there. I dare you to take this principle that Jasmine just taught us about affirmation and put in the work to believe one of those affirmations that are provided for you each week that you go through, and see how your life is starting to transform. See how this introduction to self-mastery aligns in the 8 weeks, and then come back and tell me and Jasmine on this podcast episode, on this video on YouTube, how it's been going and what you've noticed about yourself, because healing is really all about you. And so get that 8-week healing Empowered Healing Journal, and let's see you start putting together some of the practices that Jasmine and I are talking about. But let's see you get 1% better after 8 weeks. Let's see that 1% better after 8 weeks. So Jasmine, holistic living and healing, as someone who practices this, and then you also facilitate it for other people, as well as show up in different healing modalities, Can you explain what holistic living means to you, and then why
Mm.
it's essential in a journey for someone to help them overcome trauma and truly embrace healing?
Oh, holistic healing to me. Holistic healing to me has changed over time, to be honest. I used to
It's
think holistic
evolution.
healing was all about, or the word holistic, I guess I had the more worldly understanding of it in the beginning. Herbs, tea, all the things. But for me, it became so much more in the sense of it's really about mind, body, spirit, viewing the whole person. And we are not this flesh. The flesh is a part of us, but there are many aspects of us. So at the beginning of my journey, I honestly started with that. And what does mind, body, spirit mean? What is that connection? How are they connected? And I quickly learned that my thoughts are affecting my energy. My energy is affecting my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And all of those things are affecting my body. But it all started in energy first. So understanding that everything is energy, my thoughts are energy, the feelings I'm having, the things that are showing up in my body and my life, it's all energy. The people I'm encountering, it's all energy. So I started viewing life as energy. And also, this disclaimer, you have to understand how energy translates down and trickles down into the physical realm. So understanding the connection and that there is that gap, and you do operate in different spaces in different ways. So when I'm manifesting, most people come to you, oh, my manifestations aren't working. When you're manifesting, or even say calling healing to you, there's that energetic shift that takes place. But now your body needs the time here in this realm to make that shift, to catch up with the spirit. And I think sometimes a lot of us get discouraged in that waiting period. So when I do my education or my teachings on holistic healing, I make it a point to talk about the thought, the energy, the unseen force is where everything is coming from. So if you can train yourself to be in tune with that energy, you'll understand what's happening in the physical, and your reactions to what's happening in the physical and in your physical body will be different, because you know where it's rooted. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think as a Reiki master teacher, we don't prescribe or diagnose because we're looking for the root cause. And the root cause isn't depression or anxiety, or it's an energy and blockage that's inside of me somewhere. And if I can allow myself to become aware and in tune with um, that blockage itself, I can, oh, can I give you this one thing?
Yeah, you
Because
can.
the way I explain energies inside of us or feelings inside of us are like with the scary movies when we were kids, the exorcism movies. Well, when I was a kid, I stopped watching them because they hurt me. They hurt my nervous system now. But they would always ask for the demon's name. And if you think about it, they always knew how to move the demon out after they knew the demon's name. So when you know the name of what's going on inside of you, you have the power over it now. So now you know what you need to get up out of there, get it up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So you have the power. So in short, or to bring it all together, holistic healing is mind, body, and spirit, and being conscious about keeping them in sync day to day. Obviously you'll slip, we're human, but it's the awareness to bring yourself back to that balance as a whole person. And yeah,
I like it. And you kind of went right into what I was going to talk about next. And that was like you being a Reiki healer. And so when you talked about the root cause of the energy the breakdown, excuse me, the energy breakdown, and then knowing it by name, how do you walk a client through that who's come to you for healing? What does that experience look like? Like
yeah.
for someone who's never experienced a Reiki session, what does it look like coming to a trained Reiki master to go through this journey with you through a session? And like, do you find that energy blockage the first session? Does it take multiple sessions? Give us that experience. What is that experience like with getting to being able to name that energy blockage so you can be able to work that thing out.
Yeah, so with Reiki, honestly, Reiki does the work. Reiki is the medicine. Reiki translates to life force energy. So in many cultures, it's not called Reiki. It would just be called, the life force. And some people refer to it as the force that is um, source, that we all come from, and it moves through all things. So I think it's important to acknowledge that Reiki is not something that's coming from the practitioner. The practitioner is a channel for that energy, and we've just been trained, and everyone has access to Reiki energy. But a Reiki practitioner or a master teacher, they've just been trained on how to move it and see it in others as well, and to be that channel, that clear channel. And that's just through the principles, really, and the making it a lifestyle. So when you come to a Reiki session, we will have had a discussion about your symptoms. What in your life are you experiencing that brought you here, or what's something that's concerning you, essentially. And this can be mind, body, or physical. So people can come with a physical ailment. People can come with mental issues, and people can come just like trying to find balance. But also spiritual, highly energetic. So after we have that discussion, once again, I may talk to them about what the chakras mean or energy centers mean. Each energy center holds its own frequency, essentially. And within that energy center, each energy center affects organs, emotions, aspects in our physical world, even, but parts of our body. So, if you're experiencing different ailments, it's easy. Some practitioners may go ahead and say, oh, you're experiencing fear. That's a root chakra problem. But I would never do that, because sometimes there's a blockage somewhere else in the body that's causing a blockage in the root. And that's how your body's making up for it. So you really get them on the table, and you do a full session every time. You do a full session, a full body scan every time. As you're doing that session, they're in meditation. My sessions are a little different because I'm guiding you through breath. I'm guiding you through visualization sometimes. So my clients are actually connected with their source within throughout their session. So they're getting messages, and they're being told also because my goal as a practitioner is not for you to rely on me. So I actually guide my clients to themselves so that they don't rely on me. And you come to me just like people go to the doctor, for your energy alignments, and to keep updated on your, the same ways you go to the doctor, get your checkups. Okay, everybody, your energetic field is just as important as your physical body. So you have to have that in place. I'm rambling a little bit, but yeah.
So no. You're not. So first thing, you got to understand, why did I even show up to you?
Yeah.
Symptoms. What in my mind, body, spirit, soul, what made me reach out to a Reiki healer to explore what might be going on with my body? So one, you identify the symptoms. Two, you said that you start really educating them on the different chakras and the organs that they align with. And so everybody isn't all the same. And then you kind of walk into a full body scan. During that full body scan, you're getting meditation guidance. But what I love the most is, like you said, I don't want them to depend on me. I want them to be able to guide themselves. I'm here just, again, the F word you used earlier, facilitating this experience, facilitating this moment for you to be vulnerable in a safe space. For you to show up for you and be a little bit more aware of who you are and what you're going through and what might be happening. So you are wrapping your mind around what's really going on within yourself and for yourself. And I like that approach, Jasmine, because as a healthy habits and lifestyle coach, what I don't do is I don't tell people exactly what to eat, because I feel like it's Your healing, your journey. Is my healing is my journey. What works for me might not work for you. I'm going to help you with expertise and different things when it comes to functional nutrition, how you show up. But if I am the one who's always telling you this is what you need to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for snacks, this is what you got to go buy at the grocery store, you're going to get so dependent on me telling you what to eat. You're not going to be guiding yourself through your own experiences with food and with your healing to know what it is that you like. It's one thing to support and facilitate. It's another thing to tell them all the things that they need to do, but now they become dependent on you instead of being able to embrace them. And the whole goal, if you haven't caught it yet, for Giovanni and Jasmine, is for you to be able to see and feel and love you more, not what we can do for you. We're just here to support and guide you through whatever part of the journey you feel led for us to help you guide through. So I don't think you were rambling at all. I felt like I got I don't want to say shadow because we're talking energy, but I got to follow you. Back in the day, we used to go shadow people about how the interns at work, and got an idea what that experience would be. And I thank you for that, because some people might have heard of it and never actually experienced it. I've never experienced it in person. I've had people on the podcast before that also are trained in Reiki. I know my line sister talked to me about Reiki before as well. And I think a friend also told me about it. So it's definitely, like you said, a place where people go as a healing space to get more in alignment with them. And what I love most, though, Jasmine, is about the root cause. When you talk about root causes, so many times we've been caught up in a society or a system where we just want to treat when we find something that's wrong. And we don't necessarily know what we're treating. And getting to the root cause of things, having holistic integrative specialists, people who are really trying to get to the root cause and really understand what's going on. And like you said, you might think it's one thing, but something might be causing this other thing to be happening. There might be another block, another trigger, another force that's working against you in order for you to not really truly break through that thing to be, who you were called to be, and live the way you would want to live without being able to be held back and insecure, and being able to, go into what Jasmine is, bold enough to host a whole listening party that was jam-packed and was able to be an open-hearted experience, but most importantly, transformative. And you can't do that if you're not willing to do the real work it takes to, one, be aware of you. And so I thought you did a great job. I don't think it was rambling at all. It was very insightful. And I appreciate you for kind of like taking us through that. But let's get into some of those areas, that childhood, where I was just like, ooh, you sound like a student that I used to have. But growing up in the foster care system, you were prescribed medication that you made that kind of made you felt like a zombie. I forgot what you said. I want to say like Therapil, but I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah, Therapil.
That's what it was. How did you navigate these mental health challenges, and what prompted you to seek like alternative methods of healing once you kind of turned 18 and got out of there? Because I know that's what you always wanted to do, but what did that look like for you as a child? And
I feel like as a child, I felt like this is what's supposed to be happening. I'm supposed to be going to this doctor, having this conversation where I'm not really being heard, and taking the pills because I'll feel better. And that's what I'm being told, but I'm taking the pills, and with like anxiety, depression, PTSD, you're experiencing night terrors and all these things. I think I was even wetting the bed sometimes up to like, and sometimes the medication would just make me so tired that I couldn't get up out of bed. So, and I'm talking middle school, wetting the bed sometimes still. So it was really hard to navigate existing when I couldn't stay awake. It felt like, and I felt like the medication was making me more tired, more depressed, more anxious. And I would tell my doctor this, and he would keep upping my medication. So he had upped it to the point where there was no more, he couldn't prescribe it anymore. He was giving me samples and little bottles of four pills, just a bag full of these bottles of 4 pills. And that's what I was prescribed to take. And I feel like I really, like I said, I may not have always been open to receiving help from those directly next close to me, but I was always in therapy. I was always exploring, and I was always seeking something. And I just feel like I wasn't always seen. So I think it really caused me to shut parts of myself down. And the medication did it some parts, because some parts I just truly don't remember. There's is blacked out. But I think as a child, like I said, it really pushed me to make sure others were heard. It really made me want to make sure others were heard and to be a vessel. So I've been an advocate really all my life, and always wanted to help people. Didn't always know how, but I always wanted to help people. And I kind of have always just sought solace in that. I did track and cheerleading, but my main things were like always, wanting to people. But I have social anxiety. I have social anxiety now because I've been suppressed so many parts of myself that I don't know what's safe to bring up. So when I start to bring me to the surface, it gets scary. So I never had friends. I don't think I really had the capacity to withstand any friendships throughout school, and going to a school that was majority white people, and I was like one of the handful of black girls, black people period there. I just felt like it was a disconnect as well. So I just was lonely. I have been lonely. I've never belonged is what I always felt like, and I felt like my pain was supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to be loved, and that I was supposed to suffer so that other people could experience happiness. And that's where I was stuck.
That was a lot. And that's when you said, now it's time for me to shift
Yeah,
this.
I
I like
deserve it.
and do. You most certainly do. Something that you were saying earlier was that you never felt seen or heard. You were always in therapy. You're seeing doctors. You're explaining to them how the medication is making you feel as a child, and they're only increasing it, making things even worse. Not quite sure what the thought process was for that psychiatrist. But I'm gonna say something to the people, Jasmine, that are like you at that moment when you're not feeling heard, you're not feeling seen. You've been going to therapy, or you've explored therapy before, and you still didn't get what you thought you deserved from those places that were supposed to provide a place for you to be heard, to be seen, to be able to help you with this thing called life, with mental health, emotional health, physical health, just well being as a whole, as a human in this thing called life. Talk to those people, Jazz, that might, like you, feel scared to even share who they are with other people, or even show up at a place like a listening party that maybe some of those people were, and they finally felt seen, finally felt cared for and loved because you were able to facilitate that. Talk to those people right now, Jasmine, and let them know what they do deserve because you realized it for you.
Yes. I would really say that you are not your pain, and you are not a reflection of how people treated you. There's nothing you have to do, nothing you have to become, and no skill you need. I say this all the time. You don't need anything new to be worthy of love, of pure, unconditional love. And that's your birthright. You were born into that right. As a child of the Most High, you were born into love, into safety, and you deserve those things. And don't allow the situations that you've experienced and the people that have not been able to see you and to hold you fully to change who you are. Don't allow it to change who you are, because then you'll change the world around you as well. You'll change what you attract. So stay who you are, and then you intentionally and consciously change your surroundings to a place where you can thrive. And if you can't find it, create it and be it. And that is the key to being who you needed, and then you'll find the people you need.
I love it. Thank you, Earth Angel. Jasmine, that was beautiful. And I hope y'all receive all of that. And if there's anything that you've gotten thus far in this conversation and you believe not only it was beneficial for you, but it's somebody you want them to know that they deserve love, unconditional love. They deserve to be able to be seen, be heard, be cared for, no matter what they've gone through. And you want them to be all the things that they can be and should be. Make sure you send them this episode and let them know that you love them. And so that was beautiful, Jazz. I appreciate that. So let's talk about that, creating a space for healing. You just brought that up. So you've created a space through your work as a doula and an intuitive healer. How important is it to create a safe and supportive environment for healing? And what advice do you have for those looking to support loved ones on their own healing journeys?
So for those looking to support loved ones and those on their own healing journey, my advice would be to have an open heart and mind. Because when you get out here looking for a community and looking for those who do have the capacity for you, our stories are so different. Our terminology is different. Our backgrounds are different. So you have to understand that sometimes it can be triggering seeing all of these different reflections of really yourself. It's really reflections of yourself, but it can be triggering, and it can be easy to shut down when you see things that don't feel familiar. And your body and your mind is trained to protect you from things that don't feel familiar. But sometimes that's where the medicine is at. That's where the healing is at. That's where the love is at. And it will feel uncomfortable to be seen at first. But I encourage you to be seen and to see yourself. Allow yourself to be seen by you first, by God first, and then allow yourself to see yourself and through God's eyes. And I think when you start to see yourself through God's eyes and see that God is in everything and person and seek that God in all of those situations and encounters, you will be well on your way to healing, because you'll have changed your lens in which you view life from pain and triggers to love and acceptance. And now you're not looking for problems, you're looking for connections. And those connections is where the magic happens, that community, that fellowship. We are put here together to heal and grow together. So find your community and for you, cultivate you a space where you can release and be free and be fully you.
I like it. I like it a lot. And what I have in the description of this episode or this video is a link about community and what you're interested in. I think the big thing about community is knowing what you want to get out of a community, what your intentions are. It's easy for people to gravitate towards communities based on what they promote, what they advertise is going to be happening in that community. But you have to make sure that it aligns with where you are in your healing journey, where you are in this thing called life. And is it what you're working on currently? Remember, Jasmine talked about it earlier. You're focused on getting 1% better. You are focused on how you're showing up for you, how you're loving you. Everybody isn't on the same path and on the same wavelength. So it is important that you're connecting with the people and the spaces that you need connection with within yourself. And so the whole purpose of that form is to figure it out, allowing you to kind of do that thought process and say, what is it that I'm looking for in a community? What activities would be beneficial for me in a community? What vibes are there in a community? Some people like challenges. Some people like to just explore different things and adopt different habits and have different types of experiences, like a listening party, like Jazz is. And so Jasmine is already creating a sense of community by just showing up in spaces and facilitating. And she's doing it in so many different mediums. But Jasmine been doing this real and raw since her Facebook days, with just showing up with her own journey and providing support and telling people you don't got to be a victim of your own story. you could be the author of your story and turn your pain into power. And so make sure that when you're feeling that attraction and that vibe towards people, that you know what you need for yourself. So when you get with those people, they can help you kind of break those blockages and really embrace it based on the tool sets and the skills that they have, or even the experience. So in the description is a link, an interest form in regards to community on what it is that you're exploring and what you want to see for yourself. But thank you, Jasmine, for breaking that down. And I was just talking about victimhood, because you were saying earlier, and I loved it, about you don't have to be a victim. Even if it was bad stuff that happened to you, stuff you didn't like, you don't have to be a victim. How can someone start the process of releasing the identity of victimhood and really embrace like a new empowered identity? What would be some of those steps or things they should consider to release that victimhood off of us? Because people like the trauma bond. People like to keep talking about the past relationships that they've had with other people that considered all of this trauma. And we could have spent 50 minutes just talking about the trauma you've experienced as a child all the way to here, and we're not. We're talking healing, and we've been able to see how you've turned your pain into your own special power. But let's talk about that. What are some steps that people can take to shift from victimhood to this empowered identity?
Yeah, so from victimhood to empowerment, I think it's about, one, we can humanize those who we feel have hurt us. Recently, I've been just seeing my parents as children again, as their inner child, because sometimes we put people on pedestals, and it may not be our parents, but it may be just our expectations of the world. And showing up with expectations is like asking for disappointment. And I think when you have that open heart and that open mind, you're just showing up. You're just showing up, and whatever the space has, the person has for you, you're open to receive, and you're going to seek the good. So I break it down to like surrender, love, gratitude, and faith, really, are the principles that got me out of my victimhood. Because when I'm searching for the gratitude in every situation, I don't care if the gratitude is small as a pin, I'm gonna find it. So search for the gratitude in every situation. And I know people think this is not spiritual bypassing, okay? Because we're looking at the reality. We know the reality. But in the way that I'm allow myself to store this experience in my body, I'm choosing to store it in a sense of gratitude. The way that I'm going to react to this experience, I'm choosing to react to it from a space of gratitude. Because you can get your nervous system worked up, but it's not going to change it. So when you get to that place of deep acceptance and surrender, you trust. You begin to trust that that it really is a bigger purpose behind these things. And like I said earlier, everything you're going through is directly connected to who you're meant to be for the world. So if you can always be like, okay, God, all right, it's looking a little fishy here, but what are you trying to show me? And you truly seek that. And it can be real comfortable being a victim, though. So you have to be comfortable. I mean, you have to be aware, because it's harder to take accountability, but it's comfortable being a victim. So you also have to be ready, and you have to be tired. And sometimes I tell people, if you're not tired yet, that is okay. That is okay. When you are tired is when it'll become seamless. Like, it'll be so easy to surrender and to let go and to believe. But to bring it all in, I think I will say to not be a victim. I would say to seek how this situation is helping me.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, what have I been praying for? What have I been moving out of my body? What have I been rejecting even? That this is helping me get closer to. And it may be uncomfortable in releasing, but I always say whatever is releasing and moving, energy cannot be deleted. So it's being transformed. So whatever you feel is leaving your body, leaving your life, is going to be replaced. So choose to focus on being that space to receive whatever is to come in behind it. And I think when you focus on that, it becomes very easy to be like, okay, I'm not shifting my frequency to block my blessing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to trust. And I literally call it radical faith. Radical faith, but also get delusional. Get real delusional out here. Nothing can touch you. Nothing can touch you.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think when you first told me about it, I was like, ooh, Jasmine, that is so good, because people are comfortable in victimhood, because they don't want to take accountability of the role they played or the part that it actually happened, or they don't want to let it go because, like you said, they're not ready to actually do the work. And once you get tired enough, that's when you're going to be ready to start really getting into the work to doing what you really need to do. But I love that you said humanize. Humanize the person, the thing, the situation that hurt you. Because it's usually an expectation that you had that they didn't fulfill. Regardless of whatever that relationship was to you at that point, whether it was, a family, a friend, a spouse, a partner, a child, like who knows what that relationship was, but you had a level of expectation for them that you are upset that they didn't follow through or it didn't align the way you wanted it to. And so I love that you talked about humanizing those who have hurt you. But when you said seek the good, if you're always looking for the good, then you're going to be able to find something that's good for you in that situation. So it's good enough to let it go, move on, and that something else could, like you said, be replaced with it. So seeking the good, something had to come out of it. Even if it's the failed relationship, something came out of that thing. And I think it's a beautiful thing because you evolve over good and bad things, because it helps produce character. And like you said earlier, it connects you to who you are supposed to be for the world, but most importantly, the world of you. And so I love that part that you talked about. And then I like that you talked about love, gratitude, and faith. If you hold on to your own sense of love and love for yourself, and you're showing gratitude for all the things that you even get to wake up and see every single day, or the fact that you have a body that can move, that gratitude is on a whole nother level. And once you start practicing gratitude, it's really hard for people to come and steal your joy, to ruffle your feathers, to take you back to a place that you've worked so hard to, push past and overcome. And when you're true in that, it's going to be hard for them to touch you because you've grown so much further than their reach. And that's the goal, is to get away from those who you don't even want to come across, because you're protecting yourself. When you heal, you got to start protecting your space, protecting your energy, protecting who you are, because everyone doesn't deserve that healed version of you if they're not trying to heal and they just want to pull you back. And so it's mindful about how you interact with other people. But I also love that you talked about having that radical faith. And it really, to me, goes right back into those affirmations and the work you have to put in for those affirmations to get that manifestation. And so I'm grateful that you kind of broke that down the way that you did. And so thank you for that, Jasmine. I appreciate that. So just the motivation behind your work, and then I'll get to these last two questions, because you've overcome a lot in life, and now you're dedicating your life to not only continuing to heal you, but also to heal others. And you did that today, this past weekend, with your listening party, and I'm so happy for you. What is your why behind all the work that you do, and how does it continue to motivate yourself on this journey?
Ooh, the why behind all the work that I do, really, it comes from that little girl who needed someone. And I don't know, I've never seen myself as a victim. Like I said, I always just felt that there was something bigger to it. And I think the why behind what I do is because I never had anyone come to me and say, hey, there's more to life. There's more to live than what you're doing. There's more out here for you. And I need, well, no, I ain't gonna say that. I did not need that person. I needed to become that person. And so the why behind what I do is to literally make sure as many people as possible, to be that vessel, to multiply in so many different ways on this earth. My why is to make sure people feel that love, feel heard, and feel safe. And I'm learning that that's through me having to show up as me. But and that's uncomfortable for me. But my why is for everyone else's little child out there, inner child, so that they can be seen and heard again, and to reconnect this world with the spirit. You know, because we're so disconnected, and I want to bring us back home. So that's my why.
I absolutely love that. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that home is within themselves, or like we said earlier, that world of you.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to have people have that connection, get to that inner child, identify those blockages, address them, aware, surrender, flow through them, and get to this new version of yourself, or this newfound version of yourself that was probably always there, but you never even got the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to love and hold on to and care for. It's a beautiful thing. It's kind of like the more you live, the more you get to you, and the more
Mm-hmm.
you're gravitating right back to you, not getting away from you, but getting closer to you, loving you, caring for you, healing you, and realizing all of those things. And I think you never stop doing that work. And when you stop doing that work, now you're starting to neglect yourself. And when you
Mm-hmm.
neglect yourself, that's when you start allowing other things to start taking a priority over you. And I'm just so grateful that this place and this space, the Empowered Place Empowered Lives podcast, is allowing those who are on this journey and like to own their story and is being visible and vocal to come and share it with them. We're
Mm-hmm.
able to help other people. And that's the thing about a podcast, is like we might be recording today, Earth Angel, but people might not hear this but 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And that's the beautiful part about being able to hold a conversation and have a safe space like this, to be able to heal and know that people are doing it and how they're doing it and the different ways that it's going about it. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for your why, but most importantly, I'm so grateful that you love that little Jasmine enough to never give up on what it is that you knew you deserved for yourself, despite any adults that didn't want to see you, love you, care for you, hear you, be for you, like they should have. But you did that for you, and that's no hard feat, and you're still doing it. And now you're not just doing it for you, but you're doing it for others too. And so thank you for that.
Thank
All
you.
right, so you're welcome. Last two questions, Jasmine. So give some supportive insights, some tips for the girl dads, the male role models, the father figures, when it comes to uh, menstrual health, painful periods, those who may be
Mm-hmm.
experiencing symptoms of polycystic ovary syndrome, endometriosis, fibroids at a very young age. And then keep in mind those that are now older, spouses, husbands, people that are loving those with PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, endometriosis. How can they be more a part of this healing journey, this support system, and show up?
Yeah. So when it comes to menstrual health for girl dads, I think it is super important for it to be us to be treated as if it's tender, treat it as if it's something special. I think it can be easy to be weirded out for some men, but I think you really want to do some work with yourself so that you can show up for your partner or your children in a way that makes them feel seen and supported, because it can be easy to make them feel uh, out, like, you know, gross as a young child starting your period. You don't know what's happening. You're feeling these cramps, you're feeling all these things. I would say educate yourself for your family, because you are a foundational piece, and you need to be able to advocate and to guide through that those journeys as well. So I think also just, yeah, as you educate yourself, bring in those things that will help with the overall health of your family. And I think you being knowledgeable on that would help you to bring that in. But really just that acceptance, because we don't need y'all in there too much, you know what I'm saying? But we do need you guys to treat us with care and to understand what's happening with our bodies. So you know, take the time to learn us as a species.
I
Take the
like
time to
it.
learn us.
I like that you said treat it like it's something tender, not something grossed out, not something you can't talk about, not something that should be avoided, or you need somebody else to talk to your child about it or anything like that. Treat it like something tender, because it is a part of your family and your legacy, and what could potentially happen down the road. But I like that. Treat it like it's something tender. All right, Jasmine. So, if you could have a meal with any historical figure, who would it be and what would y'all eat?
Oh my goodness, why would you ask me this? A meal with any historical figure?
Any historical figure.
Ah,
Who would it be and what would y'all eat?
man. If I could eat, nah, I'm gonna start with the figure. See, I always have trouble figuring out who I would want to link up with. But as a kid, I always loved Maya Angelou. And I think having a conversation with her would be amazing. And eating food, I'm a foodie. I would love to eat with Maya Angelou. I think we would eat. Um, I don't know. I want her to cook. I want what she eating. But I really don't know what we would eat. I love French fries, y'all. That's one of my guilty pleasures.
It
I
would be
love French fries. Potatoes in all ways.
You got my mouth watering, and you know I just
Oh
started this
no,
whole
I'm sorry.
apple mono fast. It's okay, and I
I
love
would
French
eat some
fries.
apple juice.
Nah, don't do it. Stay real with the Empire Place.
Yeah,
Stay
no,
real
we
with
would
the Empire
definitely
Place.
some soul food. I don't know. I wonder if she liked soul food, but I would eat soul food with her. I love me some greens,
So you're gonna have greens,
mashed potatoes,
mashed potatoes,
maybe some mac and cheese. I'm not big on meat.
mac and
You know what
cheese.
I'm saying? I eat the sides all day. We can have a sides of soul food dinner.
I'm down with it. Macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, greens.
Mm-hmm. Um, those are the main ones, really. Those are the
Okay.
main ones.
Not getting no
Cornbread,
cornbread. Oh, okay.
cornbread,
Cornbread.
macaroni
Okay.
too. Macaroni too. I like some good
Yep. Got the
macaroni.
macaroni. Got the
Mm-hmm.
macaroni, cornbread, mashed potatoes, greens. That's the plate with Mike.
That's a plate.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah,
plate. That would be a
you
plate.
gotta tell me. Both cheeks are just watering on the side of this smile. Yeah, I am.
I
I
think
am
that's
on
a
it. That
plate.
definitely sounds like a good plate. It makes me think about this one lady. She showed her mashed potatoes, her raw mashed potato recipe. So I'm on like this high raw plant-based journey right now. And then so I'm now on this, at the time that me and Jasmine are recording, on this apple mono fast that I have in my Tumblr. Y'all, this is my healing my journey. Pull up to 4vibrations.com and check out all the products and the merch and support. But I just finished my first thing of apple juice. But she had these mashed potatoes, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, what's the sauce? What's in the gravy?" And she was like, she wants to like spend some time trying to craft it. Like the sauce was pretty good. But girl, the way those mashed potatoes looked in that bowl, I was just like, please tell me what you did for those
Yeah.
mashed potatoes, because it looks so good. And if I can mashed potatoes raw with some gravy, it'll be on and popping. Like on
Yeah.
and popping.
Put me
You know
on.
what I mean?
Because if I
But
can eat good and you can get me right with the things I love to eat, like life would be life in the right way.
even more, right? Even more. Turn that thing
Mhm.
up. But go ahead, Jasmine. Let everybody know where they can find you, follow you, connect with you, be in tune so they can possibly show up for the listening parties. Go ahead, let them know.
Hey y'all. So y'all can stay in contact with me. On my Instagram, I say that's the easiest way to find me. I have all my links to everywhere else there. My Instagram is earth_angel_Jasmine. And you can access my Sitting with Spirit page through there as well. All of my posts are collaborated. But stay in tune. We have another Sitting with Spirit listening party coming out October 12th, and we'll be dealing with surrender, y'all. What does that look like? What does that feel like in life? But also, if there's anyone in Tarrant County who needs a doula, who's expecting or just had a baby, let me know. I offer free doula support for those in Tarrant County through the initiative. So you can also apply for that support in my link in my Instagram bio as well, or on my link tree, wherever you find me. But let's stay connected and let's grow together, y'all. And I'm excited to grow with you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for wanting to be a part of this safe space, to share your journey of strength, because it is absolutely one that is remarkable. But most importantly, show how you're being intentional about keeping yourself on the go with the healing journey. But y'all, it's been an absolute amazing pleasure to deliver another valuable episode here on the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. If you are looking for resources, I got a toolkit, the M to the third degree. That's mindset, mindful eating, and movement. A M to the third degree healing empowerment toolkit with resources to really help you show up and care for yourself through mindset, through mindful eating, through movement, as well as exercises for mindful movement practices, some recipes, some juices, some smoothies. Y'all go dive into the toolkit and see where you could use these resources to be able to support you on your journey. But don't forget to make sure that you tell us all about your takeaways here on this vibrant conversation with the Earth Angel herself, Jasmine Alise. Y'all, I love you. I thank you. But most importantly, thanks for vibing with us, y'all.